Have you ever seen a game that was so good you thought about it all of the time? A game which you wanted to play so much it became unhealthy, like an addiction. A game which tingles all of the small little things inside your brain and makes you genuinely happy whenever you play it. Of course you did. We all had. But what if I told you you still didn't experience one of the best games ever made? A game that has completely gone under your radar, made by competent and loving developers, and has also been universally loved by a strong, passionate community. My name is Abe, and today I will talk about my newly founded addiction. A game that charmed me from the get-go, took my heart, which was previously corrupted by League of Legends, and healed me. Today I will talk about Deep Rock Galactic. Deep Rock Galactic is a cooperative first-person shooter in which you take on a role of a dwarven space miner who is tasked with exploring and extracting resources from procedurally generated underground caves of a richly abundant planet of Haxis 4. Think about it like playing a cozy game of Minecraft, but also with a much bigger variety of enemies and dangers which you might encounter in caves, but also guns, mission objectives, random encounters, and high-octane co-op gameplay of Left 4 Dead, in an unknown cave in one of the 10 biomes currently available to freely explore by a team from 1 to 4 players. You're a contracted miner under the most notorious, tenacious mining corporation in the galaxy, Deep Rock Galactic.
He said it!
A disposable worker who is here to earn his wage and get an inviolable drip by going down the most dangerous mines of Haxis with other dwarves, sharing the same fate as you. You see guys, up here we are all wages, struggling to come by, working overtime in a capitalist society to be able to support our friends, families and dreams. We have to look after each other, we have to complete the mission and go out of the cave while leaving no dwarf behind. We are one of the same best class of dwarves. And speaking of classes, whenever you think about modern co-op games, there's this set-in-stone Holy Trinity system pretty much engraved on them. There is a tank, which is this big beefy dude with a shield or a hammer, which charges in every time there is a danger from his teammates, taking all of the damage and basically being a big meat shield that separates the team out of the enemies. There are supports which are either medics or some kind of a damage amplifiers above their damage dealers, and tanks can put a bigger number whenever they hit an enemy with their abilities or weapons. And there is also a damage dealer archetype, a true bona fide DPS characters, most of the time being able to dispose of multiple of enemies in a pretty fast rate, but also due to its glass cannon nature, extremely fragile, hysterically calling their supports or tanks for help whenever they lose at least 1 point of HP. In Deep Rock Galactic we've got none of those. Every dwarf is a self-sufficient independent unit which can handle stuff on its own. Every class carries its own unique set of weapons and consumables whenever they're rampaging down the caves. Gunner, which is your stereotypical heavy weapons guy, is the backbone of every team on higher hazards. His main weapons carry a high potential of doing high damage to both big numbers of monsters and single target, high threat special type enemies. Doesn't matter if you choose to carry the default minigun, an autocannon or a rocket launcher, you're the guy which most likely will never run out of ammunition. His utilities consist of a zipline launcher which, well, creates a zipline between one place and another, on which both you and your teammates can get from one point to another at a comically slow speed. His second, one of the most overpowered utilities in a game, a portable shield, is vital for the team's survival. Whenever you need to revive your fallen teammates or buy some time for your whole team to get some air while being swarmed by a big pack of monsters, Shield Generator is a perfect power play that can change most of the dire situations into much more stable, safe encounters, making it in the hands of a skilled gunner which knows how to read an environment a powerful tool to survive any danger being thrown at you. An engineer is a class that comes to mind whenever you think about an engineer from Team Fortress 2 or Torbjorn from Overwatch. A guy which can build 2 turrets, is equipped with a shotgun, and also provides an easy way for his team to collect mission objectives that are located in difficult to get places. Other than that, he is also equipped with a secondary weapon, most of the time a grenade launcher or a breach cutter, both of them being great at disposing of a big number of spiders in the most spectacular way possible. Extremely ammunition hungry thanks to the low basic damage of their weapons, but also extremely useful thanks to having the best tool in the game, the platform gun. Platform gun creates small foam platforms which can serve as a makeshift floors to make your life easier whenever you need to collect minerals that are located high above the ground, or to create a space on which you can build a pipeline during an on-site refining mission. It can also nullify the damage you might get whenever you fall from heights and also repel the spiders, making it the best multi-solution tool in the game. Also, equipped with a lure green grenade can effectively taunt a big pack of monsters by simply throwing a holographic projector which taunts enemies by doing some Fortnite dances. In my humble opinion, the Engineer is the most greenbeard friendly class in the game. Playing an Engineer not only teaches you to always have a backlog of ammunition in case of an urgent swarm, but also makes you much more aware of your surroundings, and even if you are not the best FPS player out there, still makes you a valuable asset to your team. Scout is the class for people who need speed in their life. Equipped with either an assault rifle, a semi-auto rifle, or a plasma rifle. Scout is the most agile, made-to-order class in the game. Their purpose is pretty straightforward. Use your grappling hook to get the most information about mission objectives, hidden collectibles, or minerals, and get rid of high-threat enemies before they reach the rest of the team. I like to think about scouts as a spear. They are swift and they can do a lot of damage instantly, but if the user is lacking tactical prowess and experience, becomes one of the worst things they can use. A bad scout will make your whole team pretty anxious about his well-being and will force his comrades to revive him countless times. A good scout will get all of the mission objectives alone, get a lot of bonus minerals, and also kill bosses and unique enemies without any help whatsoever. Extremely fun class with a very high skill ceiling for everyone who wishes to go back to the times of the original Unreal Tournament or Quake 3. Last but not least, my personal favorite, thanks to my destructive tendencies, is a Driller. Driller is one and the only class which can freely manipulate the terrain around the caves. Whenever you need to make a fast detour between one cave system to another, or a provisional tunnel which will lead you to a drop pad at the end of the mission, they are your best friend. Extremely useful on an on-site refining mission whenever you need to make your life easier by connecting the wells to the refinery, or whenever you need to dig minerals out of a tough rocky terrain. Driller wields weapons that mostly deal an elemental damage. A basic flamethrower that sets spiders on fire, a cryo cannon that is supposed to slow down the enemies and make them a sitting duck for the rest of your team to easily dispose of, or a corrosive goo gun which shoots goo. Driller's main weapons are used to get rid of a big number of enemies by either keeping them in a crowd control effects or by simply reducing them down to nothing over time. Extremely useful and effective during swarms or whenever fighting a big number of enemies, painfully useless whenever forced to fight against big bosses which are having high resistance against elemental damage. Also possesses a sub-weapon gun that can mine minerals from a large distance, which is extremely enjoyable to use. I would like to add a small mention about his second utility, one of the most fulfilling tools of mass distraction available to players in the game. You see guys, I didn't play CSGO for over 1000 hours to forget about how useful C4, or should I call it by a more cutesy name, a cake, is. Whenever you run out of ammo, or you're in impending danger of being surrounded by a swarm, there's this little switch in your brain which instantly tells you it's time to throw a cake into a group of those double-jointed freaks and press the button to get rid of them in the most efficient, cathartic way. The sound of C4 blowing up the big cluster of mobs is the most freeing experience you can get while playing video games. The problem starts whenever you or your teammates are in the range of an explosion, which can create unneeded anxiety among your teammates. While using cake is extremely fun and is one of the most prominent points of why Drill is my favorite class, I would like to remind you to use it responsibly. Otherwise, well, you'll become the reason why your team is back in a starting cap wearing those funny little gowns. While all of the 4 classes are unique and in fact are your conduit to experience the game, I would like to talk about all of the game modes and what exactly makes Deep Rock Galactic unique. Whenever you enter the pod and go down the hellish landscape of Haxis, you're up to play one of 8 different mission types. From the basic ones like Mining Expedition or Egg Hunt, which are all about going down the mine, getting a resource and then going back to the pod, to more sophisticated ones like On-Site Refining, in which you are supposed to connect liquid morkite wells to the refinery with pipelines, which later on you have to defend, grind on them like Tony Hawk, and once you safely mine all of the sweet liquid out of the natives' territory, get back to the pod. One of my favorite game modes called Industrial Sabotage, which in my humble opinion is a wasted opportunity to not call it the hostile takeover, orders you to attack rivals mining company power stations which by an accident have been placed on a planet that belongs to our company, to later on take care of an enemy sentient defend bot called the Caretaker and take its data vault back to our own space rig. All of the missions can be played on all of the 10 vastly different biomes with 20 different possible anomalies and warnings, while also having a decent chance to encounter hoarders, equipment lost by the previous dwarves, cargo packs, 4 different machine events, seasonal events, and also special creature encounters. Additionally, all of the missions on the board rotate every 30 minutes, effectively making you play all of the possible mission combinations whenever you want to pursue some particular assignment. And since all of this stuff is procedurally generated, it's pretty hard to play the exact same encounter twice. Playing an egg hunt in crystalline caverns where the only environmental hazards there are outside bugs is an electric rack is pretty much a comfy, a little slow-paced experience compared to playing the same mission on Hollow Bog, with a bonus warning and a lot of different environmental hazards, which are waiting in every little dark corner of the map to knock you down. Depending on how many dwarves and what classes your fellow comrades pick, the game flow will also feel different. Playing solo is not only a slow and socially awkward experience, but it also awards you with a personal robot assistant, which can mine rocks, shoot rockets, or even light up dark places, making it much more reliable companion compared to any dwarf you can get. Whenever you get a careless scout, which is a perfect ingredient for every cave leech's diet, or a driller, which is a little bit too socially anxious or sociopathic, making them hide in their tunnels or feed scouts with cakes, the game gets more and more dynamic, chaotic, random, and the most important, fun, giving the game an almost endless and perfect gameplay loop. Once you play the game for a little while, you get to unlock perks, new weapons, and mods. You can create your own loadout and play every class in whatever way you like. There are also a lot of available matrices, which you can drop out of random encounters during the regular mission, or deep dives, which are unlocked once you promote one of the classes at least once. Deep dives are considered to be an endgame mode in which you have to go through 3 missions with a shared inventory between them. Deep dives are supposed to be a challenge, and sometimes they are taking a lot of effort to complete, awarding you with a blank, a random offensive, and cosmetic matrices. Since I know a lot of people playing video games love to min-max the fun out of their gameplay by using the meta and the most overpowered builds, you are more than welcome to mix and match your loadout to become an omnipotent dwarf, which is always more than ready to take on anything the game throws at you. You can do it by either getting on one of the resources to copy it off somebody who already spent their time and effort to make a gold standard for everyone else, or try to make one yourself, which will suit you the most. And while I love the gameplay loop and how everything in the game works, I got absolutely charmed by Deep Rock Galactic not only thanks to its gunplay, or progression system, but thanks to how much its developers put a lot of attention to details. You see, once I bought the game during the Steam Winter Sale, I didn't expect much. All of my friends told me the RG is great and I'm stupid for not playing it sooner, and since they say the same stuff about pretty much every game which is not made by EA or Activision, I thought I'm going to get another generic co-op zombie shooter made by a AAA game studio rejects. A game which I'll play for 10, maybe 15 hours and then forget about it. Boy oh boy, how wrong I was. Once I landed in a space rig for the first time, I was greeted in one of the most fleshed out, detailed hubs in video games I've ever seen. Multiple jars with floating aliens inside them, hidden true football goals which you can play whenever you wait for one of your mates which has gone AFK for the last 20 minutes, a small little button to turn off the gravity to make everything and everyone float in the air, and a biz bar in which you can turn on the jukebox to dance to one of many tracks, a barrel kicking minigame, and also the bar with a robot barman which serves you with drinks which grants you effects which you can use during the missions, or other vanity ones which you can craft using the plants gathered while shooting some spiders on Haxis. There are also multiple options to get out of the rig using some high IQ Unreal Engine fueled tactics to achieve a true open world experience. I admire the developers for putting a lot of subtle references to the pieces of pop culture I fondly remember. Quotes originating from Christopher Nolan's Batman trilogy, or even a hat resembling one of the greatest heavy metal bands of all time, Motorhead. There is even an achievement for putting all of the barrels which spawn in the lobby straight up to the drop pad. The understanding from the devs of how the players are going to interact with a rich, detailed and crafted with love environment is not only refreshing, but also exciting. The design of all of the robotic companions which accompany us during our journey is also a very nice one. Bosco, a robot that helps us whenever we decide to venture underground alone, has the personality of a puppy. Oh, who is the good boy? You're my good boy, Bosco! Molly, a robotic Tinker mule, treats us like a mule, goes from one point to another whenever called, is reliable, and is extremely missed whenever we are playing on one of the refining missions. Doretta, the drill dozer we use during the escort duty mission. She is this one fat colleague from your workplace who is always there to help you whenever you are feeling down or when you have too much work on your plate. You can also rescue her head once the mission is over and get her back to the drop pod. This one little detail is a perfect litmus paper to check if the dwarves you are playing with can feel empathy for other beings and in general are capable of understanding higher emotions. Mission Control, the guy which acts as an announcer for all of the things happening in the game, is a bored, old-timer corporate that has seen pretty much everything you can see down the caves of Haxis. He's going to broadcast every incoming swarm, brief us about the mission objectives, or scold us whenever we start to enjoy ourselves too much. In my opinion, one of the most memorable, iconic details which will stay with you for a very long time, and is a platinum standard of how the announcers should be done in every video game. Fun, interactive, and also unpredictable. Drip and collectibles which you might be interested in to collect during your gameplay do not disappear. In fact, whenever the season ends, all of the possible collectibles from the previous season are put in cargo crates, so even if you're a latelet like me, you're more than likely to still collect all of the possible drips. And while I am aware of that you might feel a little incensed after hearing seasons, don't worry. All of the content in the game outside a few cosmetic DLCs is completely free, and you are not bullied into buying a new battle pass every few months by the canon developers. Music is also a very surprising and important detail. While in most co-op shooters you are most likely to hear epic compositions or corporate heavy metal, made to make you feel more hyped whenever you start decimating your opponents with bullets and blades. In Deep Rock Galactic, we are going to vibe to synthwave. And while at first it may not appear to be the most suitable choice of music to make things going, it fits perfectly with the pace and the eerie aura of the game. Once you hear Attack of Glyphids while being swarmed by multiple targets, or the last ascend whenever you're trying to get into a drop pod after a successful mission, you can fully understand the music was made to fit every possible scenario. You know it's not made by some bored, uninspired musician who came to the game studio to make the most common soundtrack and run towards the setting sun with a bag. It's most likely made by a passionate Danish guy called Sophus, who played a lot of Team Fortress 2 back in the day and has an idea of how music should interact with the gameplay, and quite frankly, he nailed it perfectly. The whole game feels like it's made by talented gamers with vision who have seen there are no good games about dwarves scavenging the planet in search of minerals, drinking beer, and basically having a lot of fun which might violate the Geneva suggestion. The game feels like a love letter for a player to get picked up whenever they want to have some fun with friends or alone, and is carefully crafted to bring the best experience possible. The last time I felt this feeling in particular was whenever I played games like Left 4 Dead 2 or Minecraft with my friends for the first time. This feeling is what stays with you forever, and is always going to be one of the best memories you can have when it comes to video games. For me, Deep Rock Galactic is one of the best games I've ever played. It's not perfect, nothing in the world is, but it's one of the most refreshing and addicting games I've played for the last few years. The game is 5 years old, still gets huge loads of new content, and managed to create a big, tight-knit and one of the most non-toxic communities I've seen. Doesn't matter if you're a veteran or a greenbeard, you're going to enjoy it, as long as you're willing to. The game is so good it made me spend my money on bonus cosmetics, not because I was made to, but because I want to support the devs and give more people an opportunity to go through this adventure themselves. I absolutely love this game, and if by any chance you still didn't try it out yourself, do it. You won't regret it. My name is Ape, and I'm going to finally say it. Rock and stone, brothers!